All right, everyone, join us. We'll give people a couple of minutes to get settled. This is the beginning of our 30-day program called How to Recession-Proof Your Finances in Just 30 Days. I'm Peter Dunn, Pete the Planner, CEO of Your Moneyline, and we're going to do this every day for the next 30 days. You're working from home, you're working from work, you're doing the best you can. We all are, and I'm excited to serve you. For those that don't know, I'm a USA Today columnist and author, radio show host, and CEO of a financial company. So I like to think I know what I'm doing. Others might disagree with that, but we'll leave that to them. Here's how this program is going to work every day at 2 p.m. Eastern, even on the weekends. 30 minutes. I want to spend it with you. I want to build and or rebuild your finances from the ground up. More on that in just a moment. Before we get started, though, I want to talk some just general ideas about what's going on in the economy right now. There's three major problems. We've been talking about this on Twitter. I encourage you to follow along at Pete the Planner on Twitter. But here's what's going on right now. There are three major issues. The first is, well, it's a pandemic, right? And I'm not going to have too many comments on that because I like to limit my comments to areas of which I'm an expert. Not an expert on pandemics. Please listen to those experts. Problem number two is the stock market. Here's the issue with the stock market right now. It is swinging wildly in all sorts of directions, and the primary direction happens to be down right now. That is very scary because what happens is we say to ourselves, my life savings is currently going down by record levels every trading day. And every time you turn on the news or you get on Twitter, you see these wild market swings. You see the classic picture of the guy on the stock exchange with his head in his hands and woe is him. Well, woe is us. The stock market is in trouble right now. However, I'm asking that a vast majority of people chill out, myself included, unless you're within 5 to 10 years of retirement. Everything that's happening in the market, it doesn't really impact you. I know that doesn't seem realistic or fair or fun, but that's reality. So the third problem, this is the big problem. It is the reason the stock market is freaking out right now, and that is the economy. We are in the midst of a recession, despite the fact that the technical definition of a recession is 2 consecutive quarters of negative growth. Well, this is the third month of the first quarter, and we're going to have negative growth by the end of March 31st for this first quarter. So there is quarter number 1. Quarter number 2, which starts April Fool's Day, that will begin the second quarter of negative growth. Thus, we are in our recession. We have Rip Van Winkled our economy for the next 3 or 4 months. It has put a lot of people out of work. It has compromised employment. And so that's the point of our entire time here together. I'll tell you this, jumping in and helping people like you right now and spend this time with you, this is cathartic for me because I too am concerned about what's going on. I'm concerned about the economy. I'm concerned about my friends who own small businesses and restaurants. I'm concerned about the young guy I talked to today who's an Uber driver, made about $3,500 a month driving Uber full time, which has screeched to a halt to $0 a month right now. How do we support those people? My hope is after the end of this 30-day period, we've strengthened your finances, and more than anything, that once this ship starts to turn around in the right direction, that pent-up demand that we have for having a really good meal that a trained chef can make, right? Having a cocktail that a trained bartender can actually mix for us that doesn't taste like the ones I make. Hopefully that pent-up demand will meet our pent-up finances that we've constructed together, and we can just go be their customers day after day after day after day. That is my dream for this whole thing. Here's the goal of the program today. These are my very specific goals for you. Number 1, I want to cut your monthly spending by at least $500 a month, not only in the next 30 days, but in the foreseeable future, probably 2 to 3 months. Again, then you can make some decisions about when to let loose again with consumerism. As you may have figured out, we're a consumer-based economy. The more people spend money, whether they should spend that money or not, the more the economy grows. That's how it's always been. Goal number 2 is to press reset. Well, what in the world does that mean? All right. Have you ever looked at your life, any component of your life, fitness, relationships, family status, finances, faith, whatever, and thought, man, how did I get to the point I'm at right now? Wouldn't it be amazing to have a fresh start? I don't mean that with like family or marriage specifically for me. They're in the other room and I'm just hoping they're quiet right now. But have you ever just wanted to press reset? In times like this, and having been through this and actually done a program like this back 11 years ago in 2009 during the Great Recession, what I know is if you spend 30 days really focusing on this, you can press reset. You know, if you look at your finances and you say, why do I do this? Why is this a habit? We're going to try to undo some of those bad habits and get some good habits going. You know, the reality is sometimes that happens. Sometimes we look at our spending and it's not what we want it to be because our priorities have changed. We just forgot to tell our money, right? I look at some of my bank statement, I'll see things I'm like, yeah, we don't actually even use that anymore. Oh, yeah, we don't even care about that anymore. Yet it sticks around because we're so busy. Now, I will tell you a frustrating part about the next 30 days for you is that I'm not going to have quick and easy answers every day. This is a process. I realize that we're in an instant gratification society, and I understand that you want answers to specific questions right now, and I will do my darndest to help you with that as we go along. But I want you to dig in. I want you to invest this 30 days in yourself. You know, Mrs. Planner and I were having a discussion last night after our kids went to bed because we are working from home, as are all my coworkers. And by the way, if the production value of this whole menagerie is not up to speed, that's my fault. I want my people safe working from their home. So my professional crew that usually does all this stuff, unfortunately, I'm filling in for them today. But Mrs. Planner and I were talking about this. The next 30 days, the next 8 weeks, whatever it ends up being, what a great opportunity to reconnect with what feels like it is lost. Family time, family dinners, focusing on your finance, waking up every day, going for a run. Now, am I painting a rosy picture? Yeah, I am, right? Because it takes us to just determine that that's what's going to be. Final thing we're going to do, third goal here, is we're going to stop guessing. Most people guess on their finances. They guess if they can afford that bottle of wine. They guess if they can afford that car, that house, that college education. They just guess all the time. There's no more guessing. We need data. And that data we're going to gather over the next 30 days will help you stop guessing. At any point in time, you want to talk to someone specific, a professional about this, you can go to callheymoney.com and you can sign up and talk to one of our experts. Our experts serve hundreds of thousands of people every year. They are CFPs, they are AFCs. They are trained to do what we're doing together right now. I designed this program so it can be self-serve. Like I designed it so if you're willing to put in the effort and do it yourself, you can do it yourself. You don't need us to do it for you, right? And this is not a ploy to sell you things. However, if you want special attention or you have special circumstances, you can go to callheymoney.com. And I had to come up with an offer code. I was doing this yesterday because I want to give you a discount if you happen to want to get our help. I was like, well, how about prosper or recover? And I was like, well, why not cheese? You're thinking, well, why would you choose cheese? Why not? What's it really matter? Like we're all not going to see each other for 8 weeks. I can choose any word I want. Let's get started. All right, so day one, we have 2 activities we're going to handle right now and 2 activities alone. The first activity is to get organized, and the second one is to count your transactions. Let's start with get organized. I find that most people, it's not that they're a mess financially. It's not that they make bad decisions. It's just that they don't have the awareness they need to make good decisions. I would argue most people don't know what's in their bank account on a regular basis. They may know right now, right? I mean, these are trying times. You may know right now. Most people don't know at any given time. And the strange thing is they have to look to know. And you're thinking, well, of course they have to look to know. That's the point, to know. No, but if you're doing it right, you wouldn't have to look to know. We think awareness is being able to look all the time. That's not awareness. That's a crutch. And that leads to overspending. True awareness is knowing because you know what you've spent money on. This may lead you to have a separate checking account than your significant other. That way it's easier to track. We can talk about that later in the program. The reality is we're going to be doing this for 30 days and we're hitting 60 concepts. So we're going to cover just about everything. I also have come to the conclusion that when people tell me how deep in debt they are, they tend to guess, right? They say, we got like $27,000 and student loans. But if they really dug down deep and looked, they'd have $32,450. And you're thinking, well, what's it really matter? It's in the right ballpark. Oh, it matters. It matters a lot. In fact, most people underestimate the amount of debt they have, which becomes an issue. One of the most important things you're going to need to gather here today, not right now, I want you to listen now, but do it after we're done. I want you to gather your pay stub. If the federal government decides to employ the federal payroll tax holiday, it's a mouthful. If there's a payroll tax holiday, which means your Social Security and Medicare obligations that come out of every paycheck will be made available to you again for the foreseeable future. If that happens, I want you to know exactly how much it is so we can take advantage of that money now. This is especially important because when the federal payroll tax holiday ends, I told you it's a mouthful, when it ends, if you've reabsorbed that spending into your life, you will be in a worse position. I need to repeat this. This is very important. I want to scream this from the mountaintops. If we get some sense of relief from the federal government in any obligations, especially taxes, and you have what we call lifestyle creep, you let your lifestyle creep up as that more income serves you. When that federal payroll tax holiday goes away, you will be in trouble because you will be dependent on more money at that point in time. That's why I need you to gather your pay stub for this entire 30-day period so we can walk through it. Finally, I need you to grab your insurance details: life insurance, health insurance, homeowners insurance, renter's insurance, auto insurance, any insurance, okay? This is not in an attempt to sell you insurance, because I don't sell insurance, but it's to better understand why we buy certain financial products and what they do for us. Before we go much further, would be remiss if I did not mention that there are two current financial realities that people are dealing with right now. There's people like me, a lot of us, that there's some fear, but there's no imminent income threat to what's going on, right? And so to plan around that is certainly a luxury. To be able to put a plan in place where you care enough to try, yet there's not imminent danger, that's great. Now there's a second group of people, like the Uber driver I talked about, that are in it, right? In fact, if you are in the hospitality industry, I highly recommend you go to my Twitter account, twitter.com/PeteThePlanner. I've set up a special Calendly link. I will talk to you for free, 15 minutes at a time, and I'm going to do it in the indefinite future. I'm just going to keep going, right? Because your situation is very different. Preparing for no income is very different than doing this entire process without the loss of income, right? So we got that whole thing there. If you are in the second category, if you fear your income is going away completely, if you're a server or a bartender, or you work at a hotel, or you're at an airline, let's dig in, right? We have to dig in, because some relief in the form of government subsidy may be coming to you in terms of unemployment coverage and those sorts of things. But we need to tighten down your finances. Now, this is obvious, but sometimes people don't recognize this. There's two ways to solidify a financial life: increase income or decrease expenses. Most people in the scenario we're dealing with right now not only can't increase income, there is a reasonable likelihood that they will be forced to decrease income, which is to say, not only do we have to decrease expenses, but we have to do it in such a formal way that it doesn't feel like a debt diet or something like that. Now, the first place we're starting, besides getting organized, which I want you to do before tomorrow's stream at 2, is I want you to count how often you spend money over the course of a normal month. Okay. This is not breaking news. We should have like banners and things flying. People hate budgeting. How do I know this? Well, I've written several books on the topic, and it's not that people don't buy the books, but they hate budgeting. They just do. Look, I'll tell you what, I got a little app called my Fitness Pal, which I sometimes call my Fatness Pal because of the calories I put into that thing. I hate budgeting the macronutrients in my life, but sometimes I choose to do it. Right now I'm stress eating, so that's neither here nor there. But people hate budgeting. So in 2009, during the Great Recession, we came up with this way to help people understand their finances from a 30,000 foot view, and that is to count how often they spend money. Here's what I mean. Let's say on Monday, on your way into work, you stop and grab some coffee. Then at lunch, you go out and grab a burger. On the way home, you stop and get gas, maybe stop at a big box store, and then stop at a pharmacy on the way home. That's a lot of transactions in one day. And that's just one day. Imagine doing that for 5 to 7 days, depending on how your spending habits happen. So what I want you to do is I want you to go back into January's bank statement. Because for me, January is the most accurate statement you're going to have. February, people's fears started to kick in. March, don't even bother looking at this bank statement. But I want to see under normal circumstances how often you spend money. You do not include utility bills, do not include car payments or mortgage payments or anything like that. We're talking consumer transactions, picking up the dry cleaning, stopping to get the earliest release of Reese's peanut butter eggs before the Easter season starts. I don't think they released them in January. Simply, again, a dream of mine. But all of these transactions, and here's the wild part. Even if you go to the vending machine at work and drop 60 cents in there to get a bag of chips, that counts, right? This isn't just spending money with your debit card or credit card or check or Venmo. It is also a matter of using cash. Now, I want you to count those transactions for your entire household for any given month, specifically January. This is transactions between you and your significant other. If you don't have a significant other, good for you. They're a pain. I'm kidding, of course. But if you don't have a significant other, then it's all on you. The goal, my friend, is to see how often you spend money, because if you spend money very frequently, you care less about what you're buying costs. If you spend money frequently, you care less about what you're buying costs. It's true. It's wild. And so we need to make sure that each transaction matters. This is the perfect time. You're sitting at home, unless you're just on Amazon, just ordering whatever all day long. This is the perfect opportunity to change those habits. I think it's going to be relatively easy for most people to cut $500 out in the next 30 days. Mrs. Planner and I, again, we talked about it. It's going to be sadly easy, which is a little bit embarrassing, but it's okay, right? If you spend transaction-wise 10 times or less a week, 10 times or less per week, you know what? Transactions aren't your issue. You don't spend money so frequently. Have you ever been on an all-inclusive vacation? Remember when people took vacations and then sometimes they give you a card key and you just swipe it when you go out to eat and it's all counted towards the price? Sometimes if you spend money too frequently, you use your debit or credit card that way and it feels like some sort of all-inclusive vacation. This is not an all-inclusive vacation. This is a recession. These are some of the hardest times that people who are alive today have ever seen financially on the horizon. So that is to say, again, 10 transactions or less a week, no problem. 11 to 15, actually, that's a really good range too. And ideally, over the next 30 days, you stick in that range. I like 11 to 15. I think it's a very healthy range. Back in 2009, when we first did a version of this program during the Great Recession, I personally did all this stuff that I'm going to be telling you over the next 30 days because I don't want to be a hypocrite. I want to have tried all of this. Mrs. Planner and I did this. Our goal, just for giggles, was to do 5 transactions over the course of the week. That meant the grocery store was 1 week. These are the days before you went to the grocery store once for 4 weeks worth of food. Right? So once for the grocery store. I think I grabbed coffee on the way to work one day. She grabbed lunch out one day. Gas for her car, gas for my car. That's 5 transactions. That's what we did in March of 2009. And I think that is possible. Again, if you really want to reset how you spend money, now is the time. Now, here's the weird part about this. What we really learned is the several weeks after that 1 week of trying to hit 5 transactions, those next several weeks is where we considered whether or not every single purchase we made mattered. We weren't even trying to make that the point, but our lesson was once you cut your transactions to 5 and once you gamify it, afterwards, you've pressed reset on just swiping your card to solve a problem. Think how often you're thirsty on the way home from work and you just stop and get a Diet Coke from McDonald's with the good crunchy ice. Like, think about those little things we do when you could just come home and solve the problem without money, but with critical thinking by turning on a faucet. Now, 16 to 20 transactions, it's creeping up. It's creeping up. And if you spend money as a household between 16 to 20 transactions, you're getting to be on the verge of the frequency of how much you spend money causing your financial issues. And finally, if you're 21 or more, which is 3 transactions a day for a household, I think we've identified the problem. Now, if this is you, you may not like what I just said. You may fight this, right? You may say, I don't think so. I don't think that's the issue. Well, you're wrong. It absolutely is the issue because you are such a consumer. And that's what is such a shock to the system right now that you can't get over during this recession. So this is what we're going to do. I mean, this is literally what we're going to do every day for 20 to 30 minutes at 2 p.m. Eastern, 11 Pacific. I'm going to post it live, of course, and then we'll have it on Facebook as well. We want to dive in with you. We want to serve you. This is the time to take this seriously. There'll be no fear on this podcast. If I tell you something, it will be a fact. It will not be to stoke fear. If you are scared by what I say, it's because what I said is scary, not because I'm trying to scare you. And so you're going to get the truth. Please, the market is going to continue to get especially weird this afternoon. Now, that just convinced you to watch the market this afternoon. But I can tell you it's going to get really weird as the market goes to close today. Don't let that distract you from the work that you have to do. If you're mad, if you're frustrated, if you're scared, do a cathartic thing and dive into your finances. So here's your homework for the day. Grab all your statements, right? Bank statements, credit card statements, any debt statements you have, your pay stub, of course, your insurance. Did you notice one group of statements I didn't tell you to grab? Investment statements. Because grabbing your investment statements is not going to help you change your personal economy in the next 30 days. That's how serious I am about this. Yes, I understand how the stock market works, and I've worked in that industry for 20 years, but it will not impact your behavior in the next 30 days. It shouldn't impact your behavior in the next 30 days. So just keep those statements to the side. Also, count your transactions. Grab that 1 month bank statement, ideally January. Count how many times you spent money from a consumer standpoint in the last 30 days, divide by 4.33, because that's how many months there are in a year. And that will tell you how many weeks or how many transactions you have in any given week. If you want to talk about some of those things and share it with everyone in the community we have here at the Hey Money Facebook page, please do so. If you want professional help, give us a call. We'd be glad to help you. Just go to callheymoney.com. You will get a mobile app sent to you when you sign up, and you can communicate with us at the touch of a thumb or a finger that has been well sanitized. You can also use the offer code CHEESE, because why not? What else words are we going to use? CHEESE is the offer code and give you 10% off your subscription to Hey Money. Would love any feedback you've got to give. Like I said, I'm going to put this on YouTube. Please share it around with your friends and family. There'll be no fear here, just facts. Take care of your family, take care of yourself, and we'll take care of your money. All right, I'll see you tomorrow at 2.